Mute the mics. There we go.
All right, it's time for this meeting to commence. 6:01, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Santos,
Here.
Councilmember Fenn,
Here.
Treasurer Janetti.
Here, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Chairman Cooley,
Here.
Vice Chair Vanderpool.
Here.
Member Lemaster stated he would be absent this evening. Member Garcia also stated he would be absent this evening. Member Nuno
Here.
and alternate member Butler.
Okay, we have a few members meeting, but we do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead with the meeting. And the first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Vanderpool, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Sure, you bet.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Thank you. Any adjustments to the agenda that anyone's aware of? Not hearing any, we'll move on. And any conflicts of interest that need to be disclosed tonight? Again, not hearing any, we'll move on. Are there any public comments for items that are not on the agenda today?
If I just may introduce myself. My name is Elizabeth Gibbs, and about an hour ago, City Council appointed me as interim city manager. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to get to know each of you. Some of you I know, and those of you that I don't, I will be making a point to meet you. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Glad to see you here, and we'll make the same efforts ourselves. This meeting is open to the public and conducted in a virtual format to be inclusive of all participation preferences. Public comment participation is encouraged by emailing any comments to the city clerk's office or by calling in using the phone number provided on the front of the agenda. Do we have any comments that have come in?
I have no written comments. Jennifer, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers.
Okay. So the next item is the approval of the minutes. I am assuming you've had an opportunity to review the meetings. Is there any comments or changes that need to be made on the meeting minutes from the last meeting? Seeing or hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll do it.
Okay, Mr. Lee Masters has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Oh, Vanderpool made the motion.
I'll second
I'm
it.
sorry.
It's okay. Just letting you know.
And the second? Mr. Janetti seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Santos,
I abstained because I was not on the meeting during that time. Thank you.
Councilmember Fenn,
Yes.
Treasurer Janetti,
Yes.
Chairman Cooley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Vanderpool,
Yes.
and Member Nuno.
Yes.
All right. That passes. We'll move on to the next item. The next item is the general fund and wastewater budget to actual through March 2022 and the third quarter investment report and certification. Jennifer Eustachian has a staff report. And at this point in time, do we have any public comments?
I have no written comment. Jennifer, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers.
Okay, let's go ahead with the staff report then, please.
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I apologize that these reports were not put into the agenda. We had some timing issues with that, but they were emailed to the Finance Committee, and those in attendance received a copy. These are the fiscal year 2022 general fund and wastewater budget actual through March 2022 and your third quarter investment report and certification. On your general fund analysis, we have received 7 months of sales tax, and it has exceeded budget. Real property taxes are trending higher than budget, and increased building permit activity in comparison to prior years has exceeded budget. You have 20 of 26 pay periods have been reported, and costs are trending lower than budget. Utilities are trending higher than budget, and contractual services are trending lower than budget. And 2 quarters of fire service invoices have been paid, totaling $1,977,775.07. And on August 3rd, 2021, City Council approved a budget amendment for unspent prior year appropriations and reappropriated $214,799 for fiscal year 22. And so there is available amount of $741,845 available funds for City Council to appropriate. Moving on to the wastewater, you have 4 of 6 utility billings recorded and trending lower than budget. 20 of 26 pay periods recorded, and costs are trending lower than budget. Utilities are trending higher than budget, and contractual services are trending lower than budget. And based on year-end projections, the wastewater fund is trending to have approximately $325,000 to be retained for utility reserves for fiscal year 22. And this is driven by savings in both personnel and operating costs. For the third quarter investment report and certification, is part of the city's investment policy that was approved on May 18th of 2021 in accordance with government code. These quarterly reports are to be attached. You have attached to these reports a pooled cash investments holding report as of March 31st, 2022, a pooled cash report as of the same date, an investment certification for quarter ending March 31st, 2022, Wilmington Trust security listing as of March 31st, and your public trust investment report as of March 31st, 2022. And just to point out some significant transactions that took place during the quarter is you had a wire transfer from Citibank to Trustee U.S. Bank in the amount of $2.5 million for investment within the Pension 115 Trust. Wire transfer from Leif to Trustee U.S. Bank in the amount of $30 million for investment within the portfolio managed by Public Trust Advisors. Wire transfer from Citibank to Trustee Wilmington Trust in the amount of $6,566,991.44, and that's for the March 1st debt service payment. Your Leif interest for the quarter ended December 31st, 2021 was credited to the city's Leif account in January in the amount of $42,983.68 in comparison to interest earned in the same quarter for the previous year, which was $101,237.13. And that's due to interest rate decrease from 54 basis points to about 21 basis points. And interest earned on the portfolio managed by Public Trust Advisors is reported monthly, and for quarter one totals $7,943.28. And with that, I'll take any questions anyone has. Thank you.
Committee have any questions for Ms. Eustachian?
Yes, I've got one, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, please.
Jennifer, so with both budgets with payroll being lower, is that due to perhaps open positions and maybe even less overtime that was paid? Is there a particular reason that stands out for those? Is that it?
Yeah, what we find is normally the vacancies that we had throughout the year, that they don't total to the total amount. So you have some savings that are there. And yes, overtime is not trending as high as what was budgeted as well. So within vacancies and the overtime, and also within your benefits, those kind of go along with your salaries, you have savings.
Okay. And then so just for the upcoming budget workshops and so forth, is it going to be recommended that when it comes to the budget that it's at fully staffed at 100%? And then is that why it comes in lower? Has that practice been followed previously?
Yeah, what the practice is any funded position. So if we're planning to fill that position, then you budget for that position.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now,
Jennifer, I have a question. Just, I know you said it, but I may have missed it. The general fund, what do you see trending that by the end of the year? How much under budget did you say?
Well, the funds over budget is about 13.3 million. And that's on the general fund analysis report that is attached to your reports. So you have a positive 13.3 million.
13.3 million.
Yeah.
Wow. And you think that'll hold up through the end of the year?
It's trending, and mostly because your revenue is trending higher than budget. And that's a lot has to do within your sales tax.
Sales tax is still driving us. That's
Mhm.
good news.
okay, and I'm noticing a couple instances where the investment earnings are low because the interest rate was down, and realizing that this is historical, I'm assuming those interest rates are expected to raise in the next year. And of course, that will be addressed in the budget workshops, correct?
Yes, they have already started to increase, and so we've noticed that it is going up. Your public trust investment report, the portfolio is now at about 1.8 in comparison to LAIF, which is at about 0.365. So, and you'll, so as you see those investment earnings start to come in, you'll notice the increase on your financials.
Any other questions?
Can I?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Jennifer, is it possible to have a more comparisons on the on the sales tax and more detail on that? What I'm getting at is all the businesses that who contribute. Let's say before was number one. It's surprising to everybody. It's like Sonics. How much they contribute on the sales tax on that on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. That would be nice to see that so we know what's going on in our business, world here in Beaumont. That would be nice. And also, I will interject again, on the building permits, on the same concept, is to have how many permits it's granted and how many permitted, pending. And I think everybody will benefit on that, so we could see the forecast, just like being asked, how can we retain the 13 million on the revenue end of the fiscal year. And I do believe that yes, we could do that because of the trend right now on the sales tax on this, and that would be nice to have those details in there, Jennifer.
Okay, yeah, I can do that with the building permit comparison. I'll go back and look on the sales tax. There are some confidentiality issues
Yes.
on those. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure to bring you back a comparison. Maybe I could do it based on business type or something like that.
Yeah, or probably we could do it by zone. When I say zone, is the retail, what kind of retail and everything. On that, that'll be nice to see that. So in the future, on our side, to see the when we do the budget this coming fiscal year, new fiscal year, we could keep eye on those kind of retails, manufacturing, fulfillments, and all those stuff.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it might be helpful, not just to our committee, but to some of the others, the community development as well as the city council, if we could, or if you rather, let's be fair here, if you could identify those on types of businesses. It might give some information as to what kind of business that we may want to try to encourage, and a little better understanding of who is providing the financial support through sales taxes.
Okay, I will work with HDL, who helps us with our sales tax, and see what they can provide to us for those reports.
Yes, we do realize that there are some capability restrictions there as to what is available, but it might be something to address for future periods, many periods down the road in some instances.
Jennifer, you might want to consider, I thought your idea of breaking it out by what the business is, and then maybe within those businesses, you can blind it like A, business C. So we say, let's say the fast food people are bringing a lot in. You could just, the people in there, you could have an A, B, C, D, E representing those ones. We could see if there's one that stands out or if they're all doing well.
Okay.
Yeah, another thing you might be able to do is just like a type of business. So like food services, and then maybe you can break it down into some food service into different types of businesses. That's another thing. Just an idea thrown out there.
Yeah, so I think if we pull this all together, I think what might be most helpful for us in the next meeting or the next meeting after that is to report back on what is available, what can be captured without rewriting the software. And then we can decide which of those might be the most valuable. Is that reasonable?
Sounds good. I could do that.
All right. Any other comments? I don't see any. And I believe we asked at the beginning of this this item, were there any public comments, or requests to speak, anything on this item? So, not hearing any. Looking for a motion to receive and file these reports. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we receive and file the report, the financial report and investments.
And a second is needed.
I can second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Santos,
Aye.
Councilmember Fenn,
Yes.
Treasurer Janetti,
Yes?
Chairman Cooley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Vanderpool,
Yes.
and Member Nuno.
Yes.
All right. So the motion passes, and these will be received and filed. That moves us to the next item, which is the fiscal year 2021 single audit report. And we have a staff report from Jennifer Eustachian. And let's go ahead with that report first.
Yes, thank you. So we have the single audit report for you. What this is all public entities that expend more than $750,000 in federal funds are required to have a single audit. And the single audit reviews the expenditure of the federal funds and evaluates the internal controls of the public entity that are designed to ensure expenditures are handled appropriately and in compliance with both city policies and internal control standards. The audit was performed by our auditors, Rogers, Anderson, Melody, and Scott, LLP, and does not express opinion on the effectiveness of city's internal controls. The report does provide the results of internal control testing and the findings from that process. And those findings were all highlighted for the Finance and Audit Committee on January 10th of 2022 when the draft report of internal control over financial reporting for fiscal year 21 was reviewed and received. All the internal control findings were presented during that meeting and are also included in the single audit report. And there are no additional findings that were not addressed during that meeting. And the auditors did find that the city was in compliance with the Uniform Guidance for Federal Awards. And we can review those internal control findings if you'd like. There were 3, or I could take any questions that you have.
So we'll ask first if we have any comments or questions from the public.
I have no written requests. Jennifer, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers.
Okay, any comments, questions, discussion from the committee? I do have a question related to the overhead cost allocation. I see that it's noted that we expect to have this resolved by July. Will that report be completed? Will it be implemented, or will the report be completed and then it'll be up to the finance department to implement those?
Well, right now we
Program.
have, our consultants are doing the cost allocation and fee study. And so I expect to have those results here within June, and they will be reported out once I receive those.
And so
Jennifer,
that,
the internal control deficiencies are the same ones we had on the overall that we had, right?
Correct, correct. Within the city's ACFRs, it's the same findings.
So this was done at the same time, so there wasn't, okay.
Correct.
right. And these will be in place by the time the next audit field
Yeah,
work is done.
so two of the findings have been addressed, and then the overhead cost allocation is in the process right now within the consultants, doing the cost allocation plan and the fee study.
And of course, that is our goal, is to not have findings in the next audit period, both single and the regular audit. So I think we're well on track to having that handled. Any other comments, questions? All right, then I'll request a motion to receive and file the single audit report. Can I have a motion, please? Don't everybody speak at once.
Okay. I'll move on item number 3, so.
And a second.
I'll second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Santos,
Aye.
Councilmember Fenn,
Yes.
Treasurer Janetti,
Yes,
Chairman Cooley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Vanderpool,
Yes.
and Member Nuno.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the Financial Training Subcommittee presentation. Is that ready?
It is. If you want to pop up anybody clicking on that YouTube link can look at it. So. I don't know if you're gonna pop it. I don't know if you're gonna pop it on the screen if we're watching it. However you guys want to do it is fine by me.
now when you say it's on YouTube, it's not for public audience
Well,
at this
theoretically,
time?
someone could look for it, but it isn't identified with the city of Beaumont in any way. And I can, if you
Because
want, I can close it off.
Well, I just think the council hasn't seen it yet, and I don't want the public having it
Okay,
without
that's
their
fine. I can take it down.
approval. And I think it would be good to show it at the next meeting, if we're ready to go, if we like what we see tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. I can take it down until then. That's fine.
Okay, so that's the one that's on our tablets.
So yeah,
here.
if you click on that YouTube.dbxdgh.
Got it. Okay, does everybody have that?
No, I don't yet.
Yeah, if you just click on that, you should be able to see it. And at this point, if there's no link to it, it's going to be pretty hard for people to find it, unless they're really searching for it. But I can take it down until.
Okay.
You want me to put it back up?
I got it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Introduction to Local Government Finance for the City of Beaumont. Why does the City of Beaumont collect taxes and fees to provide exceptional public services like beautiful parks, clean water, and high-quality roads? Who pays these taxes and fees? Residents and visitors will pay permitting utility fees.
So,
property
okay.
taxes,
So what we
sales
need to do is somehow hold on one second. Is it possible for us to click that onto that screen
And the city
right
receives
there?
grants from various
I can do that, but it's gonna go out to the public and it'll be part of a permanent record. So I just wanted to be sure that's what you wanted to do.
It's presented in this meeting, so yeah, there shouldn't be a problem with that.
Okay.
We'll discuss what, if any, changes or
Yeah, if there's any
approve it or
changes,
whatever. So yeah, it can be a public record.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Give me just a minute and I can get it coordinated.
Sure.
Okay, you're gonna bring it up, Nicole?
Yeah.
Yes.
That way everybody can see it and.
Yeah, I turned it on. It was playing over here.
I'm gonna play it from here, I just have to let them know to switch the input. I'll hit play and we'll see. If not, then we can do it from the podium. You probably won't.
Another thing that people could do is just all watch it individually. It's fine too. Pays these taxes and fees. Residents
do
and
this?
visitors will pay permit and utility fees, property
Let me
taxes.
start over.
There's the audio. Now we just need the video. Hello, everyone, and
Sorry.
welcome to Introduction to Local.
What?
There we go. There it is. Government finance for the city of Beaumont. Why does the city of Beaumont collect taxes and fees to provide exceptional public services like beautiful parks, clean water, and high-quality roads? Who pays these taxes and fees? Residents and visitors will pay permit and utility fees, property taxes, sales taxes, and vehicle license fees. Businesses will pay through business licenses and permits, and the city receives grants from various sources for operations and capital improvements. Where does the money go? When the money is collected, it goes to 3 operating funds primarily. The first one is the general fund, and this is the primary operating fund for the city and funds core services like public safety. The wastewater fund will fund the wastewater system for the city of Beaumont, and the transit fund will fund the transit system for the city of Beaumont. You also have special revenue funds. The largest portion of these special revenue funds are CFD funds. And what is a CFD fund? A CFD fund establishes Umbrella Rouge Community Facilities District, also known as a CFD, which allows for financing of public improvements and services. Then finally, you have capital project funds. And these funds are used to receive and track funds received from a variety of sources that are used to directly support the city's infrastructure and capital improvement projects.
How is the city held accountable? Well, there's audits. These are performed from an independent outside firm, not city staff, certified public accountants who follow professional standards. What do audits do? Well, they occur every year, examine financial records, review agreements and contracts, test internal controls and processes, interview leadership and staff. What are the possible opinions the city can get from the audit? Unqualified, clean; qualified, some problems; adverse, significant problems; disclaimer, no opinion, big problems. The city of Beaumont has an unqualified, clean opinion. What is provided in the financial statements? Management discussion analysis provides financial highlights and overview of the financial statements. Government-wide financial statements provide readers with a broad overview of the city's finances in a manner similar to a private sector business. Fund-specific financial statements report information about groupings of related accounts which are used to maintain control over resources that have been segregated for specific activities or objectives. Required supplemental information includes schedules required to be presented showing information related to the city's pension plan and a budgetary comparison schedule for the general fund and the city's major special revenue funds. Supplementary information includes the combining statements and schedules of the non-major governmental funds, internal service funds, and agency funds. What are notes to the financial statements? Well, they're the most valuable section to the general public. Additional information that is essential to a full understanding of the data provided in the government-wide and fund financial statements. What is an audit finding? A finding identifies an area where the city needs to improve. This report tracks progress toward fixing prior year findings and identifies any new ones. Where can I find the city's most recent audits? Well, you can find it on the city website under Audits and Reports. Who do I contact if I have further questions? You may call the City of Beaumont Finance Department at 951-572-3236. We look forward to hearing from you.
So the reason I like this, and I liked the comments that you made regarding.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Introduction to Local Government Finance for the city.
Regarding creating an auditory section is because it will help people that are both auditory as well as visual learners be able to learn about city finance. There are some like me who are more visual learners and would rather read it. And there's some that learn better through listening. And when you hit visual and auditory learners, that usually hits a significant percentage of learners. What I would probably suggest, and this would really be up to the city finance department, is you'd maybe have some sort of link on the website, something saying, here's an introduction to local government finance. Then, if you want to have learn more about local government finance, click on this link. And then maybe you would attach the PowerPoint to that. That would really be up to the finance department and your technical team to do that. But that's what I would probably do. So just wanted to throw that information out there.
Any comments from the public? Any comments from the committee?
I'm waiting to hear from Mr. Finn or Mr. Santos here. Your thoughts. I'll say mine first. I think this is a great first pass to give some basic understanding for 52,000 citizens, 54,000 citizens in Beaumont. It's a good starting point. It's basic, but it talks about where we get our funding and how we control and manage our funding. I can see some follow-ups here that may go a little deeper in showing them maybe some reports and circling some things so they would understand if they wanted to, for those who would want to read a little deeper. But I mean, I like this as a starting point.
Sure, and I'll just respond that, yeah, this was never meant to be something that was extremely detailed. I found from my experience with these kind of introductory videos, you'd rather keep them shorter rather than longer. The longer you get, the more people tend to fade and they don't focus as well.
I'm having trouble hearing you, David.
Oh,
Can
I'm
you get
sorry.
that
I
mic
think
up
I'm
closer?
probably need to move this over here. There we go. That's right. So I
better.
found that if you make them too long, people tend to not be able to maintain their focus and for a really long period of time. And so if you go straight to the point, I find that usually is the most successful in communicating to people. That's just from my personal experience. And as far as, and in terms of additions, with stuff more specific, you could definitely do that. We could continue to make videos and such. But like you said, I agree that it's a first step, and that was the intent, is to really be for it to be a
You
first
don't have
step.
to defend it. I think that's what you have to have a starting point
Okay.
in the learning process. And I'm just saying, it gives us the opportunity to branch it off into a little deeper, not a lot deeper, but
Okay.
a little bit deeper.
Cool.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't mean. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just letting you know my thought process as far as that's concerned. Thank you, though.
I would agree. I think it's great. I think it's a good jump off and maybe some flexible sites, maybe.
Mr. Chair, is your microphone on? We're having a hard time hearing you.
Your microphone.
I'm sorry. I agree. I think this is a great starting place, perhaps some clickables where they could click onto the audit if they wanted, or those examples that Mr. Vanderpool talks about with some circled stuff. But I have one question that appears, I believe, on the first page with sources of revenue, and it's stated vehicle licensing fees. Does the city actually collect vehicle licensing fees, or is that a state activity?
We get some vehicle license fee revenue that gets passed through to the city.
It's a pass-through, okay.
Yeah, that big bill you get for registration, a little piece of it comes to the city. I just paid mine.
Mine's waiting to be paid.
All right, Mr. Chair, if I can jump in and make
Sure.
a comment? All right, so I appreciate this, Mr. Vanderpool and Jennifer, thank you very much. I think it looks great. What I would like to see, and I know with the effort of trying to keep it short, but I think something that would be important to add is identifying which funds are restricted. For example, maybe just a quick comment or a simple addition on a slide to say the following funds are restricted and so forth, or just an explanation. For example, if it's revenue from a general fund, then the city council has a larger discretion or just a larger opportunity to spend where they want to in there. If it's wastewater funds, then it needs to be spent on wastewater, so therefore it's restricted to wastewater. Without getting too deep into it, it's nice to know, because I, as a member of the public in years past, I remember there were complaints about members of the public on monies that were spent for wastewater and so forth, and I don't think they've understood that revenue from that was coming from the sewer bills and so forth. And so I think that helps their mindset of money came in from this direction and that's where it's going to go to. And if there's rules associated with it and where it can be spent, that a simple explanation cover that. I do know and I use the wastewater example, but if there are other restricted funds, then maybe just a little note to say the following are considered restricted and must be used for these purposes. And maybe it's something simple like that. So my suggestion, but otherwise I think it's great.
Mr. Santos, you want to weigh in on this?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, thank you. On this, the way I see it, this is a good report. This is a good start, just like you guys are saying. And the way I see it on a bigger picture on this, I'm more a transparent person. I think this is a good start on the being transparent out there. And if we could, connect this to our website. And, because I always out there talking to people, a certain level of people. And that would be nice to have access on the financial, on this, city. And they could click it right away and see how we stand and everything. But not on the detail. It has to be, summarized that will be presented well to a certain level of people who could judge or see how the city works and how we stand in financially. And that will benefit our economic development also on developing this kind of information. I know it will be deeper. Yes, I would like to go deeper on these presentations and all the things that are the three revenues. That would be nice to have those. More specific, more little bit detailed, but professionally presented, and that would be great because right now I'm so excited about the city. We have our own brochures and all our website online right now. And we have a hard copy. I do distribute that for public, disclosure. And, but the thing is, I'm lacking on financial information on this. This will be a big, big step to be public out there. And they click it, Beaumont, they will have the website. They could go on financial information. They could go economic development, information, and the city will be completed. And I think the business will flow in here. And again, I'm a transparent person, so that would be nice to have that in public. Sorry, I mean, giving you a long, information on this. Thank you. But Jennifer, David, Mr. Banterville, you did a good, a good start on this. I think this will be, this will be a good for the city of Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank
Sure.
you.
So my question at this point is, do we want to recommend and move this up to the city council and put what we have up here and look for what comments come in and develop it from there? Or do we want to hold it and work on the comments that we've received with our own committee? Comments on that?
I'd like to comment first. I'd like to get it up to the council right now and just see if there's additional comments like Mr. Fenn meant before we go back and do it again. See if we're on the right track. It appears Mr. Santos and Mr. Finn agree with what we have here with a tweak. Let's see if the other three council members have anything to say, and we can, Jennifer and David can make those adjustments. I don't want to belabor this. One of the things I've learned about the government, you can labor things and it takes forever to get it out. I'd like to get the other set of opinions in next Monday, right there, or next Tuesday at the meeting, and then make a finished product and get it out there, because it can benefit all the things Mr. Santos says, getting it on site. It can be a link to people using it. And this is kind of, it's not interactive, but it's a little more than just going through dry files on the city website.
That's my feeling too. Is there anybody who's not in agreement with that? We can discuss that. Anybody who's not of that opinion? I'm hearing nothing, so then I'm looking for a motion to recommend approval by the city council, or to move it up to the city council for their decision on whether to post it or not.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
move that we present this to the city council and request feedback and direction.
I
We have
second that.
Okay. Does this require a roll call vote, or?
Yes.
Okay, let's have a vote.
Councilmember Santos,
Aye.
Councilmember Fenn,
Yes.
Treasurer Janetti,
Yes.
Chairman Cooley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Vanderpool,
Yes.
and Member Nuno.
Yes.
Okay, that passes, and a thank you and some kudos to the people that put it together, which is basically Mr. Vanderpool and Jennifer Eustachian. Thank you. That moves us to the next item that we have, which is the subcommittee updates. As we're walking through those, let's just go down the list as it appears. The Internal Control Committee, Barry, jump in if you have anything to say, but this is something that happens on an ad hoc as needed basis. And I don't think we've seen anything pop up right now. Could come up at any point in time. The financial training, we know where they're at. Has anything new been done on the CFD training and the frequently asked questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I could take a moment and address
Yes.
that, and I'm going to recruit some help from Ms. Eustachian and Ms. Mendoza on that. With the change of our city manager, we now have an interim city manager. I don't know that we're in a position that we're going to meet. Our plan was that we were going to meet immediately following this meeting, but we have another issue in terms of GIS mapping, if I'm calling it correctly. So if Ms. Eustachian or Ms. Mendoza, if you can just speak to a minute or two on that, we can update Mr. Vanderpool at the same time and give the committee an update.
Okay, I don't mind doing that. Jennifer, if you're okay with it?
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you hear
fine with
me
that.
okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's
Lighting in
fine.
my office. Yes, so we've met a couple times. We've confirmed that we do have the data in a format that we believe is loadable into a GIS map for the public to be able to go to their address, click on the data, drill down and figure out what their payoff may or may not be, and an idea on how to make the process a little simpler. Unfortunately, right now, we do not have a GIS contract. The company that we were contracting with decided to go a different direction. So we have two options that we're bringing to council at the budget workshop, and that's either to go out to RFP for a new GIS consultant or potentially to hire our own GIS analyst and begin to bring that function in-house. With the police department's new computer-aided dispatch system, there's a larger need for GIS. So we think maybe it's time to move in that direction to get us caught up. So we're a little behind. That's my update as far as that's concerned. We did take a couple bills, tax bills, if you will, and we talked about mocking those up. The problem is different areas, those tax bills look very different, different assessments, different rates. So we weren't sure if that was a good route to go either, but we can definitely take direction from the committee as it relates to other ideas if you have any.
Okay, and then I would almost feel safe to say that we would put this committee on a pause until we hear back from the city council's decision on the GIS mapping, correct?
I would think that's a safe bet, yes.
All right, so I'll be glad to report back once we have that and able to move forward. So there's our report for now.
All right.
Thank you.
And I think that's very encouraging. We've all encountered questions about CFDs and tried to deal with it, but for the most part, all we have specific is some generalities, and that'll be really nice to move forward a little more with that. The next committee, subcommittee is the Reserve Policy Committee. Is there any current activity on that? I think that's kind of on hold.
Yeah, that one's on hold.
Okay, and the CalPERS Liability Committee, I know there's a lot of CalPERS information that's out there and going. Is there anything the subcommittee is working on particularly? Doesn't sound like it. And long-term.
Not since we did that program with moving the money into that special trust.
Right,
That was going to reduce some of our liability.
right. And long-term financial sustainability, we haven't addressed that at all other than just identified it as a subcommittee need, and I believe that's where we're at. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's on hold.
Okay. And the bond accountability, I believe the same thing is happening there. So that moves us down to future agenda items. Does anybody have anything they would like to see on the agenda in the future?
And Mr. Chair, I would just like to add one thing. At our last meeting, we talked about a subcommittee that was going to review RFPs that came through after they were evaluated by internal, city employees through their process. And we had an opportunity that popped up between the last meeting and actually the council meeting last week, where David and I sat in on one to review the 8 people who had RFP'd about the park architectural stuff and engineering plans. And we had a chance to review the process, ask questions, look at everything, and both of us concluded that it's a very thorough process. They did a good job. I mean, the recommendation was not for the lowest bid, but the criteria is used based against the council's direction met perfectly. So it was our opportunity to do that, and I think it helped facilitate the council's decision process too, knowing that we had reviewed that too. It added a little bit more to it.
Yeah, it was a very complete process, all backed up by good documentation. I was impressed with it when I looked at it, so I agree.
And Mr. Chair, if I can add a comment to that, it is appreciated by the city council, especially when we make a decision where it is not the lowest bid. And having additional reasons to support that and extra eyes that have reviewed that and so forth. So I think it's a good idea to keep doing that moving forward. And if it ends up being on a rotation basis or something like that for the non-city council member to review would be appreciated, because again, extra set of eyes outside of Mr. Santos and I. So thanks again.
That's good. That sounds like the first activity was very, very positive and showed value. Nicole, can we get that sandwiched into those lists of the subcommittees so that as we go through and review those at each meetings, that one will come up as well? I suspect that might be a little more active than some of the other subcommittees, and so it'd be nice to have an opportunity to check on that.
Yes, sir.
So we kind of touched on future agenda items. Was there any of those anybody wanted to put on the agenda or believe need to be there? No? Then we go to our meeting review by our treasurer, Mr.
Yes, and
Genetti.
I'd like to preface this. I will not be attending the council meeting on the 18th, I guess, or the next meeting, which is the 19th, Mr. Fenn. And I'd ask you if you could sort of summarize, because you're here and you do have a report to make, if you would pass on a few of the comments from this meeting. I'm going to be on the other coast, so I will not be able to be on the meeting at that time.
Sure, will do.
Thank you. Basically, looking at the general fund and the wastewater budget, we're tracking very well. The trends are in a very, very good direction at this time. We're on budget and actually trending that we are in a positive mode. The single audit report was in, and the city is in compliance, which is the whole key. And the 3 internal control findings are the same ones that we had with the general audit that was received. And 2 of the items we addressed on billings and investments, and the overhead cost allocation is still something we're looking to be able to hire a consultant and work a solution there. Financial training, obviously they'll have seen that at the meeting already, so we're looking for the comments on that. And as far as our subcommittee reports, I wouldn't say anything about the RFP one that I just described, because we covered that at the meeting. They already were aware that that was done. I think the CFD training update, where we are with that, with the GIS mapping, and that we would like some more feedback from the council and direction. And everything else is kind of in a hold at this particular time.
And
Thank you.
Mr. Genetti, I will, when it comes to the time where city council will make a decision on the GIS mapping, I will pass on that, how we plan to use that additional service in what we're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's all I have.
Okay, then our last meeting the last item on our agenda is the finance director's comments. Ms. Eustachian, would you like to address that, please?
Yes, thank you. We're very excited. So the finance department is finally fully staffed. So we're really happy about that. We've also been really busy working on budget, and I just want to let everyone know that we have a budget workshop is scheduled for April 27th at 5 p.m. And so I encourage anyone to attend or to live stream that. That's my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. The next regular scheduled meeting of the Finance and Audit Committee is scheduled for Monday, May 9th, 2022. I will not be in attendance to that. I'll be out of the country, but Mr. Vanderpool will lead that, and I'm sure we'll be in good hands. With that, we'll adjourn this meeting and thank everybody that attended and had input. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.